purpose of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's open meeting is for the Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted in accordance with the Government in the Sunshine Act. Members of the public are invited to observe, which includes attending, listening, and taking notes, but does not include participating in the meeting or addressing the Commission. Actions that purposely interfere or attempt to interfere with the commencement or conducting of the meeting or inhibit the audience's ability to observe or listen to the meeting, including attempts by audience members to address the Commission while the meeting is in progress, are not permitted. Any persons engaging in such behavior will be asked to leave the building. Anyone who refuses to leave voluntarily will be escorted from the building. Additionally, documents presented to the chairman, commissioners, and staff during the meeting will not become part of the official record of any commission proceeding, nor will they require further action by the commission. If you wish to comment on an ongoing proceeding before the commission, please visit our website for more information. Also, representatives from FERC's Office of Public Participation are in the lobby to answer questions and assist the public with submission inquiries. Thank you for your cooperation.
Madam Secretary, we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before we get started, please allow me to introduce Professor Carlton Waterhouse, Professor of Law and Director of the Environmental and Climate Justice Center here at the Howard University Law School. Dr. Carlton Waterhouse is an international expert on environmental law and environmental justice, as well as on reparations and redress of historic injustices. He is a Fulbright Research Scholar and a board member of the Environmental Law Institute. A graduate of Pennsylvania State University, where he studied engineering ethics of technology, Professor Waterhouse is also a proud graduate of the Howard University School of Law. After law school, he had a distinguished career at the United States Environmental Protection Agency, where his responsibilities included enforcement actions under numerous environmental statutes, the development of regional and national policy on environmental justice, and the application of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to the EPA's permitting actions. Professor Waterhouse is also a graduate with honors from the Candler School of Theology at Emory University with a Master's of Theology Studies degree, and from Emory University's Graduate School with a PhD in social ethics. He teaches property law, environmental law, and administrative law here at the Howard University Law Center. Professor Waterhouse.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. It is my esteemed honor and pleasure to be able to welcome the commission here to the Howard University School of Law. And on behalf of our interim dean, Lisa Crooms-Robinson, and our incoming dean, Roger Fairfax, we are just delighted, and I want to share our delight in having one of our own graduates here back in the moot court room, and having each of the commissioners and everyone who is here and associated with the meeting. Howard University has a significant interest in energy issues as well as environmental issues and all governmental affairs. And it is our pleasure to be able to host you all. For those of you who are interested in energy issues, I do want to let you know that Office Director Shalonda Baker from the Department of Energy will be here in this room very soon, March the 26th at 3 p.m. for a discussion of energy justice. And we would love to have some of you come back and join us. And with that, enjoy your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Waterhouse. We will now begin. This is the time and place that has been noticed for the open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted by the Commission. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic Commissioners, since the January open meeting, the Commission has issued 52 notational orders. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this very special open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission at Howard University School of Law during Black History Month. Before we begin, I do want to recognize just a few people. I also want to thank the professor for his kind remarks today and encourage everybody, come back to Howard early and as often as you can. I also want to recognize we have Congressman Hunt from Texas here. Where are you, sir? Oh, I think he was here. He may have had to step out for a moment. We also have our former colleague, Colette Honorable, former commissioner here. Would you please stand? As well as our former secretary, Bose. Would you please stand as well? And thank you all so much for being here today. As we gather at this historic institution, we pay tribute to the invaluable contributions of Black Americans to our nation's progress and prosperity, including their pivotal role in shaping the energy landscape. Just a few years after Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, Howard University School of Law first opened its doors in 1869. And it was at a time when there was a great need for lawyers who would have a strong commitment to helping Black Americans secure and protect their newly established rights. Most importantly, perhaps, Howard Law was dedicated to producing social engineers, which Charles Hamilton Houston described as a highly skilled, perceptive, sensitive lawyer who understands the Constitution and knows how to explore its uses in communities and in bettering conditions of the underprivileged. In 1872, the law school graduated the first Black woman lawyer, Charlotte E. Ray, who was also the first woman ever admitted to the DC bar or to practice before the DC Supreme Court. As the first Black chairman of FERC, as a graduate of this esteemed law school, and as the great-grandson of a slave, it is not lost on me the significance of this moment. And so it is indeed a pleasure to be here with you, to be here with my colleagues, and to present this meeting and to conduct the business of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission in front of the next generation of energy lawyers and practitioners. And so with that, I will now turn to the agenda items for the day. Today, we are acting on item E1, cold weather reliability standards. It is no secret that recent weather challenges have put the reliability of the grid to the test. While we successfully navigated the winter storms that occurred several weeks ago, it also underscores the ongoing need for vigilance and continued improvement in our preparations for extreme weather events. The order today approves reliability standards regarding energy operations and planning. It is essential to the reliable operation of the bulk power system to protect critical natural gas infrastructure that serves gas-fired generation. As I've stated before, utilities that can comply early with the mandatory implementation date, please, I implore you, do so. It is important to all Americans that we protect the system as best we can from the effects of extreme weather. Item M1, the Commission is issuing a policy statement to modernize and streamline its process for resolving enforcement investigations by settlement. Settlements play an important role in the Commission's enforcement responsibilities, which include ensuring that jurisdictional markets remain free from fraud, manipulation, and anti-competitive conduct. Settlements serve the public interest by ensuring that compliance problems are remedied faster and discouraged profits are returned to harmed market participants and customers more quickly. The reforms adopted today to the Commission settlement process enhance both enforcement staffs and investigative subjects' ability to negotiate settlements and speed up the time it takes to reach resolution by settlement. Under today's policy statement, the Office of Enforcement will no longer need to seek settlement authority from the Commission prior to engaging in settlement negotiations. Rather, the Director of Enforcement will have the discretion to authorize staff to begin such negotiations. Finally, in items H3, H4, H5, and H6, we are announcing a policy that recognizes the unique relationship between the United States and Indian tribes. The Commission is committed to assuring that tribal interests are carefully considered whenever a commission decision could adversely affect Indian tribes or Indian trust resources. Consistent with our trust responsibility to tribes, if a tribe opposes a preliminary permit for a hydroelectric project on tribal lands, the Commission will not issue the preliminary permit. Today, we deny 4 preliminary permits that are opposed by the Navajo Nation. This policy treats tribes with the same deference that the Commission gives to federal land managers and similarly affected federal agencies that oppose a preliminary permit. We encourage project sponsors to work closely with tribal stakeholders to shape successful proposals for hydroelectric development. A lot of words. With that, I'll turn to my colleagues for their opening remarks. Commissioner Clements.
Thank you. Good morning. It's really nice to be here today. Happy Black History Month. It's an honor and it's humbling to hear the history of this law school, which has produced some of the country's greatest lawyers and leaders for the last 150 plus years. And before I start, I want to take a moment to acknowledge one of those leaders. The news became official, but Chairman Phillips has been steadfast, and I have a lot of respect for the approach he's taken to the chairmanship over the last year. And I don't know if it's good luck or good planning, but to celebrate it here today in this moment is really excellent. So just want to acknowledge that. Yeah. And we'll clap. And for those of you who are not from FERC, who didn't come over from our regular meeting place, I want to tell you a little bit about FERC's Employee Resource Groups. It's one of the great things about the agency. And this month, FERC's African American Employee Resource Group is hosting several important programs and celebrations. I want to thank them for their continued work and commitment and just let you all know that they exist, as do many other employee resource groups at FERC. I'm going to speak to the same agenda items that the chairman did. First, in E1, we are voting to approve this latest iteration of our 2 cold weather reliability standards. And these aim to prioritize the service of critical natural gas infrastructure loads, a lot, and improve operating processes during extreme cold. These standards represent forward movement in addressing lessons learned from Winter Storm Uri. I do want to note, however, that some of these improvements are not required to be implemented until over 3 years from now. So the grid and its customers won't experience the full extent of these protections for at least 3 more winters. I appreciate that NERC has worked hard to improve reliability standards and that the implementation timeline here is responsive to some concerns from the stakeholder process, which is important. But as I've stated at past open meetings, waiting years for new reliability standards to kick in, whether they be cold weather or cybersecurity requirements, is not reflective of the urgency these issues demand. So I echo the order's call for affected entities to voluntarily implement the updated requirements as quickly as possible ahead of next winter when practicable. Moving on to the enforcement policy statement in M1, I'm also pleased to support this policy statement, which grants the Office of Enforcement's director discretion to settle negotiations without first seeking authority from the Commission. The Commission will still determine whether any proposed settlement is in the public interest, but eliminating the formalistic step of seeking commission approval to hold settlement discussions will improve efficiency and eliminate unnecessary delays in resolving enforcement matters. In applying its discretion, the Office of Enforcement will draw on the wealth of experience gained over the last 15 years under the Commission's existing policies. And on H3 to H6, I echo the Chairman's comments regarding the Commission's new policy for assessing preliminary permit applications for hydropower projects. We call them hydropower projects. It rolls off the tongue a little easier. Where a proposed project would be located on tribal lands, the tribe states in the record that it opposes the requested permit. I believe it is appropriate that the Commission deny the permit application. Doing so is consistent with our respect for tribal sovereignty over these lands. And more broadly, this set of H orders emphasizes the importance of early collaboration with tribes when seeking development on their lands. Thanks, that's it for me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for your kind words. Commissioner Christie.
All right, well, it's an honor to be here at Howard University Law School, this historic institution, and to do this during Black History Month, and particularly during the month when we just found out our esteemed chairman was named officially chairman, although I'll tell you, I've never used that acting title. He's been the chairman to me since day one. So it was about time they got rid of that acting part. But it was an honor that he got that part, that took place this week, or I guess it was last week, but close enough for government work. But I congratulate him. He earned it. He absolutely earned it. And he's done a great job over the past year, and I know he's going to continue to do a past year. And so what an honor for him to come back to his law school alma mater. I walked around a little bit when I got here. I went into the library. I know you spent hundreds of hours in the library. I did not. I spent more time in the Dubliner than in the law library, but that's all right. But it's just an honor to be here. It really is, and to have him as chairman on this visit. I also want to mention someone else here, Kim Bowes. If you'd stand back up again, the chairman mentioned you, but Kim is. Well, I hadn't even finished, and you're applauding. She is also a graduate of Howard University Law School, and she's going to show me her class picture when this is over, which, you know, just looking at Kim is probably around 2019. His, by the way, is 2005. It's out in the hall, down the hall, and it looks remarkably the same, mostly the same. But I commend it to you. It's class of 2005, and there he is. You can see the leadership right there. And again, Kim's going to show me her class picture after the meeting. The only item I'm going to speak to, I don't have any dissents. I've got one separate statement, and that is on E8, Echo 8, which is the New Jersey State Agreement Approach case. And I'll have a separate statement on that concurring. I would just point out that just as in December, we had the PATH case, and I said it looks like a nothing burger, but it's not. It really is very important. Similar with this one, mainly because of what it stands for. It shows us how the state agreement approach is working and can work and should continue to work. So I'll commend my separate statement in the form of a concurrence to you as soon as or we can get it posted. And with that, again, thank you for the honor of being here at this historic institution, and to all who are here from Howard, students, administrators, congratulations, and thank you for the history that you have and the achievements that you've accomplished over those many, many years. And with that, back to Chairman Phillips.
Thank you, Commissioner Christie, and thank you for all of your leadership and for your friendship. I appreciate you. So with that, Madam Secretary, we are ready to go to the consent agenda.
Since the issuance of the Sunshine Act notice on February 8th, 2024, no items have been stricken from this afternoon's agenda. Your consent agenda for this afternoon is as follows. Electric item, E1, E2, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, and E8. Miscellaneous item, M1. Hydro items, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and H7. Certificates items C1, C2, and C3. As to E1, Commissioner Clements is concurring with a separate statement. As to E8, Commissioner Christie is concurring with a separate statement. As to C1, Commissioner Clements is dissenting in part with a separate statement. And as to C3, Commissioner Clements is dissenting in part with a separate statement. We will now take the vote on this afternoon's consent agenda. The vote begins with Commissioner Christie.
Okay, noting my concurrence in E8, I vote aye on everything.
Commissioner Clements.
Noting my concurrence in E1 and partial dissents in C1 and C3, I vote aye.
Chairman Phillips.
I vote aye.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, Commissioners, thank you. We could now move on to the discussion agenda at this time.
The discussion and presentation item for this afternoon is item A3, the annual report of the Office of Public Participation. There will be a presentation by Nicole Cedaraman, Acting Director of the Office of Public Participation. Along with her, also from the Office of Public Participation, is Yowande Bailey, John Picona, and Amanda Bradshaw. You may begin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and members of the public. My name is Nicole Cedaraman, and I'm the Acting Director of the Office of Public Participation at FERC. First, I'd like to thank you all, Commissioners, FERC staff, and the public for your consistent support for our office. And we want to extend our appreciation to the Howard University School of Law for providing the space for this meeting. It is truly an honor to be here and to share in the rich history of this institution. The mission of the Office of Public Participation, or OPP, is to empower, promote, and support public voices in FERC proceedings. We do this through timely constituent services, proactive outreach, and meaningful education for diverse communities across this country. Public participation is our sole focus. As you know, and to remind public attendees here today, OPP is a non-decisional office and has no role in FERC decision-making in contested proceedings. This allows us to interact fully with the public, which includes in open and contested cases, to hear the public's concerns and offer participation guidance. This non-decisional designation, however, does not limit OPP from collaborating with other commission staff on procedural justice and public participation policies and opportunities outside of contested proceedings. We highly value those collaborations as the office has become more integrated in the FERC community. Today, OPP is pleased to present its second annual report, which describes our work in 2023. We have published the report on FERC's website and have printed copies available in the foyer today. We appreciate the opportunity to highlight some notable achievements by our dedicated and expert staff. Over the next few minutes, OPP staff will briefly present on those achievements. First, Outreach Specialist Yowande Bailey will discuss our constituent services that we provide to communities, individuals, and organizations of diverse experiences and expertise. Then our Energy Infrastructure Manager, John Picona, will talk about key initiatives to facilitate participation in energy infrastructure proceedings. Finally, our Energy Markets Manager, Amanda Bradshaw, will present on our energy market participation initiatives. And we will be happy to answer any questions that you may have after their presentation. Yewande.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'm proud to talk with you about OPP's constituent services. As Nicole mentioned, our stakeholders are diverse. They include those who have traditionally been underrepresented or are new to FERC processes, such as tribal members, landowners, consumer advocates, and environmental justice leaders. I want to echo Nicole's remarks that our accomplishments would not have been possible without support from current and former FERC commissioners, FERC staff, and most importantly, from the many members of the public who have supported the formation of OPP over the years and maintained a robust dialogue with the Commission about how public participation will be fundamental to energy regulation moving forward. We greatly appreciate your support. In 2023, OPP worked diligently to bring people to FERC and FERC to the people. We were guided by the principle that sound energy regulatory decisions depend on and achieve broader acceptance through public input. Over the past year, OPP delivered constituent services by answering over 400 public inquiries. This service of ours is provided through our helpline and email. Since June of 2021, we have assisted the public with over 980 inquiries. In every response, OPP provided accurate and timely information to stakeholders. The most common questions were about FERC processes and how to participate, how to address infrastructure impacts on property post-construction, how to engage with FERC about environmental and community impacts of energy projects and communities with environmental justice concerns, and many other topics. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I thank you for listening. I will now turn it over to my colleagues to discuss specific initiatives in energy infrastructure and energy market proceedings.
Thank you, Yewande. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Clements, Commissioner Christie. In 2023, OPP staff sought to identify community leaders, build trust with these individuals and the public at large, and engage with communities to increase public participation in natural gas and hydroelectric proceedings. Three key areas for us are expanded outreach efforts, the development of educational materials, and meetings with community stakeholders. As you can see on this slide, as part of our expanded outreach efforts, we sent letters and other materials to constituents on 10 OPP priority projects in the Gulf Coast, the Southeast, and New England. 6 of these proceedings concern natural gas transmission pipelines and LNG export facilities. The other 4 concerned hydroelectric proceedings. We provided over 2,600 courtesy copies of FERC notices to communities in 7 states. For comparison, when we initiated our expanded outreach efforts in 2022, we sent 216 courtesy copies. This growth is a direct result of the Commission's support of our office, our early identification of priority proceedings for outreach, and OPP's commitment to meeting stakeholders where they are. Along with the 2,600 courtesy copies we sent in 2023, we also included concise, plain language summaries of these issuances. We provided educational handouts and outreach flyers to help constituents spread the word and to better understand how to participate at FERC. We believe this is important because we want to ensure every member of the public has the opportunity to have their voice heard in FERC proceedings. In addition to our expanded outreach notification efforts, the OPP Energy Infrastructure Team worked diligently to develop educational resources, including 3 video workshops and numerous infrastructure-related handouts. These videos included collaboration with other FERC program offices. For example, we collaborated with the Office of Energy Projects for a workshop on the natural gas pre-filing review process. This workshop was designed to help the public better understand the pre-filing process, the public participation opportunities that exist within this process, and how public comments can be more effective. Our other 2 workshops, one on tips for powerful comments and the other on fundamentals of intervention in FERC matters, were produced in collaboration with OPP's Energy Markets team and have proven valuable to participants in all types of FERC proceedings. All of our workshops are available to the public on FERC's website and FERC's YouTube channel. Lastly, our energy infrastructure team has increased the number of meetings with community leaders and other stakeholders. These meetings often occurred in conjunction with FERC-sponsored public scoping sessions and meetings, or during pre-filing meetings and tribal consultations. During our engagements, we were also able to share information about the Commission and its review processes. We were able to answer technical questions and offer English to Spanish translation resources when needed. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to share with you our efforts to increase public participation in FERC infrastructure proceedings. I'm happy to now turn to my colleague, Amanda Bradshaw.
Thanks, John, and good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. I'd like to cover the Energy Markets team's work in 2023. Our work focused on engaging with members of the public interested in understanding how FERC's regulation of electricity markets contributes to reliability, environmental and climate goals, affordability, and other energy-related goals in the United States. And of course, that work included interfacing with members of the public to educate them on how to participate and make their voices heard. We also developed more than 15 educational resources, including our explainers and participation guides. These resources focus on breaking down highly technical subjects into plain language translations, like proposed rules for transmission and interconnection reform, grid reliability, and guides to RTO ISO participation. All these resources are posted on our website and available for the public. From what we've gathered, many members of the public have found these resources quite valuable in learning about FERC, its role in electricity markets, and available pathways to engage with the Commission. In 2023, we also gave many presentations on FERC participation basics, as well as on more in-depth involvement in rulemakings, electric transmission and market issues, participation in RTOs and ISOs, and other topics. These presentations included speeches at both formal and informal sessions for organizations and at convenings and conferences. Additionally, the Energy Markets team, as well as the Energy Infrastructure team and OPP leadership, proactively conducted outreach by participating in more than 160 meetings and events with constituents in various parts of the country, from Maine to California and Florida to Minnesota. These constituents included landowners, tribal entities, city governments, environmental justice leaders, university researchers, environmental consumer advocates, and small businesses. In all of these interactions, OPP listened to community concerns and provided information about opportunities to comment, intervene, and otherwise engage in FERC matters. As shown on the slide here, this map presents the states and cities of 36 OPP in-person meetings and conferences where we presented and/or engaged in meaningful conversations with constituents. In total, OPP traveled to 23 states and over 40 cities and towns to bring FERC to the people in their communities. I'd like to just quickly highlight a significant event that we participated in. In May 2023, we attended the Tribal Energy Equity Summit, Just Transmission for a Just Transition in Minneapolis, Minnesota, hosted by the Alliance for Tribal Clean Energy. Over the course of 3 days, OPP facilitated FERC participation in the summit where we shared information about FERC's history, its equity action plan, and issues related to transmission and interconnection issues. We also engaged with tribal members during the workshop sessions and learned about their interest and needs to actively participate in FERC-regulated energy markets as they seek to interconnect tribal-owned generation resources to the bulk electric transmission grid. That concludes our presentation. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we thank you for listening, and we are available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you to the rest of the team. An excellent job on the presentation today, and I encourage everybody to look at the report that was prepared as well. I don't have any questions. I just simply want to applaud the work that you and your team have done. Nicole, under your leadership, you have stood up this office, and I also want to now acknowledge Commissioner Clements, who had a significant hand in pushing the commission to establish OPP and in selecting many of the folks that are working in OPP today. But you have a nearly impossible task of, with all due respect to the Office of General Counsel, deciphering our impenetrable orders into real English for real people. And I have to say, we are grateful for the work that you do. Commissioner Clements?
Thank you. Indeed, we are. Thank you for your presentations. This is the first time OPP has presented before the Commission, so I hope that's an annual recurring thing that happens. And I'll echo, Director Sitaraman is just so good at her job. I love working with her and watching her build up this team, which I think has almost doubled in the last year in terms of staff size. And, you know, there's 900 inquiries and 160 meetings. this is different. This is really making progress and meeting people where they are. And I wanted to mention that the regional staff that the OPP has hired are in the Pacific Northwest, in the Gulf, in New England, and in Oklahoma. They're based there, and I think that's really important. And these explainers, I mean, I think if ChatGPT gets a hold of them, you know, all the bloggers and textbook writers are out of business. They're so clear and plain English, which used to be a specialty of mine to speak, but has gone farther and farther away. I love reading them. I love looking at them. I love the graphics, so I encourage you all also to read them. And I will say that anytime I meet with a regulator from another country, one of the top 2 or 3 things on their list they want to talk about is the Office of Public Participation and our experience and our lessons learned. You know, it is our job as FERC to regulate in the public interest, and we cannot do that without the vital mission of OPP. And that your work helps us hear from more perspectives, and hopefully causes us as a commission to make better and more durable decisions. And that's really important. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Christie.
I think trying to translate our orders into something that the general public understands is an impossible task. But I will say this. I want to compliment you all on these explainers. The explainers, in case you haven't read them, are taking concepts like, how does an energy market work? How does a capacity market work? And trying to put that concept and those extremely difficult, complicated concepts into something that someone who's not in this business for years and years and years can understand. When I read these explainers, and I've been in this business for a long time, my reaction was, oh, so that's how it works. I wish I'd had these 20 years ago. But I really compliment you all for taking these incredibly arcane topics. You know, I always thought the best document FERC ever put out was that energy primer. It's now, I think, in its 4th or 5th iteration, and it actually is probably the only document I ever found on the website for FERC that you could actually understand. It really told you how these things worked. But you all have taken that and gone to several degrees of sophistication, but not making it difficult, making it better. So kudos to all of you on just explaining to the public what these things are, like a capacity market, and how it functions. So that's a tremendous step forward in terms of just communicating to the general public on what FERC does and how it does it, and what these concepts are. So congratulations. That alone is should get like a Nobel Prize or something. Just for, you know, if you can explain a capacity market, you do need a Nobel Prize. But I can compliment all of you on taking that and putting those concepts into something that real people can understand. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioners. Before we close, we actually have just a couple more matters, Madam Secretary. And if you will, I think I'll come down to present these. As I look for my place here, I believe I saw Dean Worthy in the audience here. Will you please stand, Dean Worthy? For those of you who don't know, she is my professor and was my dean for a time when I was here at Howard. And she also was the chair of the DC Public Service Commission and a member of NARUC, and a fantastic lawyer and attorney. Good to see you. Before I begin, I have some awards to give today, but I also have a little bit of sad news. Chrysanda Green, a beloved and valued member of the Commission's Office of the Executive Director, passed away on Saturday, January 20th, 2024 at Virginia Hospital. This is a tough loss for the FERC family, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her family. We will miss her. Over her many years of service as an administrative assistant, Chris developed and nurtured many relationships within the Commission. Chris was dedicated and thoughtful in her work, and she always had an endearing smile. Please join me in sending your thoughts to Chris's family and to her friends during this difficult time. Moving on, I also have some retirement announcements. First up, we have Raheem Amarahio, and he will receive the Chairman's Exemplar for Public Service Award. Raheem retired at the end of last month after over 31 years at the Commission. He started in what was then called the Office of Electric Power Regulation after applying for a job which he found in the classified ads in the Washington Post. In addition to his work in what became OMER, Raheem spent 3.5 years as a policy and technical advisor to former Commissioner Sudeen Kelly, and 15 years in the Office of Energy Policy and Innovation, or OPI, including 4 years as a senior leader. During his time here, Raheem became the well-rounded leader that we hope everyone will grow into. Raheem proved himself as a patient coach for newer Commission staff, gently explaining difficult concepts on electrical fundamentals and market design to many new analysts. He also was a dependable source of unvarnished advice from senior decision makers, politely standing his ground in passionate debates with the most senior and often opinionated people at the Commission. As someone said at his retirement party, Raheem has the uncanny ability to explain why a concept that you're considering is ill-advised or worse without being insulting or humiliating. And apparently, this worked in his personal life. Early in his career, Raheem met his wife, Jennifer, who also had a very successful career at FERC. I wish both of them well. I wish you well in your retirement, and I thank you so very much for your service. Please come forward and receive your award. Before we go to the next award, I would like to give an opportunity for my fellow commissioners to say a word.
Thank you, Chairman, and I also extend my condolences to Chris Green's family in this time of struggle. When we think about the bright spot in today and these retirements we're celebrating, it's really two individuals who are part of the fabric of the agency of FERC, and their role it really has left behind quite a mark and integrated a lot of things into the Commission that wouldn't have existed if they weren't here. You know, there aren't that many people who stay a whole career anywhere anymore, and especially people as special as those we're celebrating today. So, Raheem, congratulations. You've been integral to major policy initiatives, and I want to echo Chairman Phillips' comment on the people who consider you a coach and a mentor. I think that's an incredibly important role that you've played. So, you're young enough to enjoy retirement, so congratulations. I hope it's really special.
Commissioner Clements' words are perfect, so I'll endorse them and let them speak for me.
So unpredictable, this man. We'll now turn to Larry Greenfield. He will receive the Chairman's Executive Leadership Award. Larry Greenfield is retiring after 45 years of the most distinguished service to the Commission and the country. Throughout that time, Larry has held many senior positions within the Commission's Office of General Counsel, including most recently the Associate General Counsel leading the Energy Markets section in OGC. Simply put, Larry is one of a kind. He is a superb leader, an accomplished lawyer, and a public servant in the truest and best sense of that term. He is also a master of the Commission's rules of practice and procedure, and That's most likely because he wrote some of them. But as smart as he is, what has really set Larry apart through his 45 years at the commission is the kindness and basic human decency he has brought to the job each and every day. He is, in that sense, a model of what makes FERC a fantastic place to work. In recognition of who he is and all he has done for this agency, I will be awarding Larry the Chairman's Executive Leadership Award. Now, there was supposed to be another page there, but there's not. Larry is also what many people call the unofficial historian of FERC. And so, in addition to giving you this leadership award, I also want to announce today that you are now the official historian of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. So with that, I want you to come forward and receive your award. All right, we'll now go to our closing remarks. Commissioner Clements.
Thank you. I want to congratulate Larry Greenfield, the man, the myth, the legend. For those of us who were stakeholders, well before my time at FERC, we didn't know a lot about the people who worked inside FERC. We may have a few friends, we might have had a few meetings, but everyone knew who Larry Greenfield was. And I still remember one time he came to entertain a meeting that I had asked for related to energy efficiency and load forecast, and I still felt so intimidated to be in the meeting with Larry. But way more important than that is the kindness and the love for FERC, and the care with which you have kept our history and together, and it's all very important. Larry said before the meeting we were chatting, who am I without FERC? And I said, well, you're a whole bunch of things, but never let that part drop, because you'll always be this really special person to this agency. So congratulations. Thank you.
Commissioner Christie, any closing remarks?
Yeah, one thing that I remember about Larry is the first year I got here, he did his famous FERC trivia contest, and so definitely the historian, and because I had no idea 99% of what you were talking about, but here's a FERC trivia question for you, Larry. When in history have every single commissioner on FERC gone to a DC law school? Probably never, but apropos of today. But anyway, congratulations on a well-earned retirement, and keep doing the FERC trivia, and I know everybody will miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, Madam Secretary. That concludes our formal meeting for today. I thank you all again for coming here for this special meeting. I do believe it was a special day. And so now we'll move on. Mary will come up and we'll do the press conference. I'm gonna say it's okay for everybody to stay if you want, for once, so we can make this more efficient so you don't have to exit the room. So just give us a moment, we'll turn the room. Thank you so much. And we are adjourned.